For over 3 years, Sandy Hook Justice has used the Jonathan Reich case to push their agenda.
So I feel good about what we're doing. I feel good on the course that we're on. And you know what? The bottom line, it's not Wolfgang Halbig. What's going to break this case completely wide open is Jonathan Reich.
Jonathan, who are you and why are you in, shall we say, league with Wolfgang Halbig? And it would follow, how is it that you are here with us on this episode of Caravan to Midnight?
Hi, John, and thanks a lot for having me on your program today.
It's good to have you.
I'm just a student, that had a few questions about the Sandy Hook event, and it's really taken a lot out of my family, out of my life, and cost me a lot at this point.
Obvious they have no case. It's obvious that they are stalling.
Yeah, but they don't realize that everything is in John's favor, and all we have to do is one little thing, and then the state has to produce the evidence.
Well, I think they probably do realize, and that's why they're trying to avoid it.
Well, that's where you sit back and slam a beer and enjoy yourself, because Jonathan can do anything at any given moment. He could do it tomorrow. Tomorrow, you realize that the governor of the state of Connecticut, Mr. Malloy, has to sign the extradition order. Now, that's going to be entertaining as a political stunt, because when a New York judge tells Malloy to go screw himself because the evidence can't be brought forward, do you really think that the state of Connecticut, the governor, is going to sign the extradition order with that excessive bail?
And hello, welcome everybody. I just wanted to have a quick discussion to kind of bring it all together of what just went down with Jonathan Reich. I'm not sure that people really understand what happened, and there's not a lot of information out there, but I want it very clear. You had the leader of an organized and funded group of people, funded to the tune of over $100,000, a real organization, say he was going to go after a family. Let's listen to that.
All right, so
There goes corruption. Right here. So what, Curtis? We're going to find Mr. and Mr. Monty Frank and Emil Richmond. Guess what, there, Mr. Frank? What do you think? You're protecting all of those people? Are you protecting Emil Richmond? Emil Richmond, you're in the synagogue.
You've never mentioned the Italian mafia to me.
You should take that American flag off your lapel. You should have a communist flag on it.
I don't know how you can sit there and listen. I can't help it.
Now, somewhat concurrent with that statement, and certainly after that statement, that organization engaged in an online campaign against this family, to the point to where action had to be taken to start to protect. It was a real bad thing. Who are the core members of Sandy Hook Justice, the people who run the organization? They are Wolfgang, Zero, whoever he may be, Carlisle, Tony, Eric and Tony running Sandy Hook Hoax, Jonathan, Corey, Maureen, real core inner circle group. Within a year of this public threat to go after this family, one of that inner circle is convicted for a crime that happened in July. He's convicted. He pled guilty. Guilty. Was sentenced, verdict, guilty. Jonathan Reich. The victims in Danbury were that family. There's now a 20-year restraining order. What's next? What's next that we have to watch? What person's going to get hurt? Every day the hoaxers are out there making death threats. The police aren't doing anything. We're all, every single day, having someone contact us and threaten to murder us. It happens all the time. You're going after mothers, children, families. I got other things I got going on right now, but I feel like someone has to say something. For me, Sandy Hook, I have a project I'm working on about Animal Lanza, and I even got it almost all laid out. But it's a slow-going project, the rest of Rampage, which is 2 more parts. And for me, that's an educational thing for what I've gleaned studying that shooter over the time. But in terms of the shooting itself, I've reconstructed that shooting. I've matched it up with audio. I've matched it up with 911. And I've done an extensive research project. There's nothing left to study about Sandy Hook, in my opinion. Kind of got off subject there for a minute. Back to what I wanted to discuss, and that is this organized harassment that has gone on, now culminating in the conviction of a Sandy Hook Justice member. I just want to point that out. I want to make sure that everybody understands that the record is clear on what went on here. They're going to try and put out some kind of shuck and jive thing to make you look at a shiny object. Oh, look over here. Look at whatever we've dreamed up, some bull crap. Oh, some document was missing from the packet of his extradition. Who cares? From their point of view, they were just happy Jonathan was in jail fighting extradition for 3 months. You guys walked down a road of idiocy and lunacy. And you guys had it all planned out. You guys said it. You said what you were going to do. You guys produced nothing. There was no exposing of Sandy Hook.
You know, the response that I always get is, why should we show you? You're sick and demented, and there's something wrong with you stalking these poor families. You know, that's not an answer as to why we haven't seen something like this.
And along the way, you harassed an innocent family until one of you were convicted. Jonathan's a young guy. He could easily turn his life around, put this mess behind him, stop going after people. He could do that. That's a choice he has to make. Maybe that's some help he needs to get. The problem is he looks up to people who, like Wolfgang Halbig, saying that basically giving his members the belief that he's working with Donald Trump to expose Sandy Hook, Boston bombing, and what was the other one? Pulse. Come on. Are you guys for real? Give me a break. That is so stupid. Listen to this lady, gleeful over this. This is, and you can look on Hoax Group page, and they're buying it.
And I do have relationship with President Trump. It will be exposed. Now,
Did you hear what he just said?
I think that's what they're worried about. President Trump is going to look at this, and I can promise you this, Richie, listen, your listeners, Sandy Hook is going to blow up, it's going to be exposed, and then it'll open up the Boston Marathon bombing.
Yes.
And it's going to open up the Pulse nightclub.
Yes.
Wolfgang, have you had...
Yes, I'm so happy. All fake shootings, you guys. I have been telling you this for years. Everybody thought I was crazy.
conversations with people working for Trump about this?
I have, behind the scenes, we are communicating. But again, it is such a...
Oh, he's talking to Donald Trump. You guys, are you serious right now? After all the lies this man's told you, you haven't figured it out? This man claims he's a certified fire inspector when he's not. This man claims he drove Martin Luther King during an event as a state trooper when it turns out he was 17 years old at that time. And he not only claimed that, he made that claim in an email to the NAACP. It's as low as you can get. And now he's telling you knuckleheads that he's in talks with Donald Trump that's going to expose all this crap.
We're just going to dress him up. Let me tell you, that young man, he has given. He has gone through so much. And I tell you that people should stand up for him and do whatever they can to help him and his family.
If they come looking for Jonathan Reich, they're not going to find him, but they might find me.
All right. AKA Jonathan Reich. All right.
Did anyone else notice that Donald Trump just bombed Syria? And you know what? I looked on one of the Gore things, and to the extent I could, I watched some of the video, some of the really unedited video of that sarin attack, and it is disgusting. So, anyway, I'm not going to get into a Donald Trump thing, but I'm just telling you, Donald Trump bombed Syria, all right? Pretty much without hesitation. And I'm not going to get into whether I think it's right or wrong because I have a mixed opinion on that. Nothing is going to get, quote, exposed by Donald Trump. Ever. Nothing. You're not going to get anything out of 9/11 at all, and you're most certainly not going to get. Good God. Don't you guys know that 26 people had killed at Sandy Hook? And that's what's happened? And that's historical truth and fact that you could never get around. A judge will never let you try to argue that Sandy Hook didn't happen because it's an undue consumption of court's time. That you could just make the court take judicial notice of Sandy Hook. It's historical fact. The judge is not going to make you prove Sandy Hook happened in a court of law. The court doesn't sit around and make you prove things like that because it wastes their time. It's not an element someone has to prove. You don't have to prove World War II happened just because someone says World War II didn't happen. It's acknowledged as fact, that's it. It's truth, it's history, it happened. You're never going to be able to argue it in court. Ever. Everything you guys think in court is called irrelevant.
Handgun as a live survivor.
Just a second. That's not relevant to the issues that are before this court.
And that's what you're going to hear over and over as you start to get involved in court cases. It's a waste of the court's time what you hoaxers think, and they're not going to tolerate your crap. So, anyway, you're not going to get anything out of Trump. You're not going to get anything out of the courts. You're going to lose, lose, lose. Wolfgang Halbig's assertion that he's dealing with Donald Trump to expose Sandy Hook on the day that Donald Trump is firing missiles into basically a Russian-protected, where they're fighting right now. And you think Donald Trump is now going to come rescue you guys on Sandy Hook? How can you guys don't make any sense at all. You got Sandy Hook Justice members. The first one gets convicted right now for actions undertaken as part of an organization of Sandy Hook. Anyway, that's what's happened. He was also convicted for Dr. Carver, but that was back in May. That was back in January of 2013. The new one is just now. That's what's happened. That's where we stand. I just wanted to make sure that I put this out there, real facts, because I know that disinfo comes constantly from the hoaxers. They shuck and jive you. They're going to trick. Anyway.
I'm sure most of you don't know that Wolfgang Halbig let Jonathan Reich rot with a public defender for 4 months in jail. And the contention was that Wolfgang Halbig could not afford an attorney to help Reich, despite raising over $100,000 and taking an additional $31,000 tax cut. He claimed he donated $500 to Jonathan Reich on his forms out of that money. The day after Jonathan Reich pleads guilty, the day after, using a public defender, not doing a single thing that Sandy Hook Justice had promised, the very day after, Wolfgang Halbig announces that he's hiring an attorney for his civil lawsuit. After not giving a penny, $500 to Jonathan Reich, not hiring him an attorney. Can you believe that?
We'll leave it at that for now. Have a good one. C.W. Wade, SandyHookFacts.com.